All right.
We are getting in. Darrin, everybody's joining, but you are more than welcome to get started as we kick off your session.
Cool. Sounds great, Amber. Thank you so much again for letting me be here. And I've actually attended a couple of the other sessions, and it was neat to learn some things and be able to be in class with some other great teachers. So thank you again, Amber and AutoLeap, for allowing me to be here and share something I'm so passionate about. Amber sent me a message a couple of months ago and asked me if, I wanted to talk on some things. And she gave me the topic of employee management and motivation. And I have to tell you that I was really thrilled to be able to talk about it. It's something I'm really passionate about, and something that changed my life. And I know that it can change your lives as well. So let me get started a little bit. My name is Darrin Barney, and I'm president of operations and the new owner of Elite Worldwide. We're a coaching company that basically helps shop owners live fuller lives and be able to really grow and improve their businesses. So grateful again to be here with AutoLeap and with Amber and the rest of you today. Thanks for joining me. So like I said, I already mentioned a little bit about Elite. We're a company that lives by the principle of never putting money ahead of people, and really believe in helping people to grow and improve. So I'm going to start today with some shocking information that is very relevant to our time and where we're living right now. There's a thing, if you research this on Google, it's amazing. It's called the Great Resignation. And they found that last year, on average, over 4 million Americans quit their jobs each month in 2022. So you think about that, and that's why I was saying earlier that I'm so passionate about keeping your employees employee management, because if we don't, they're going to go somewhere else, and they will. They're going to go find another job. They're going to go find somebody else that wants to get them. So these are just a few little stats that were found under that. Recent surveys found that over 40% of employees are thinking about leaving their jobs in the next 3 to 6 months. So it's kind of shocking. And then, one of the biggest causes that they found was feeling burnout and unsupported. So something else that we need to think about, and I'm going to talk about today with you guys. But another big thing is feeling disrespected at work. 57% felt that they were being disrespected at work, and that's one reason why they're looking at leaving. So the stats here that I show on the right is actually from 2021. The 2022 stats, as of now, they don't have all the data complete yet, but they're still saying that on average it's over 4 million per month. So pretty crazy time. So let me give you a little bit of my backstory and why I get so excited about employee management. But this here, my brother and I started a shop back in 2002. And our name of our shop was Barney Brothers Off-Road. It's still open, and we're still running it in Grand Junction, Colorado. That's my wife, and standing there beside me, and my brothers, Chad and Ryan. And then the picture below is my dad and us together when we first opened the shop up. And yes, I actually used to have hair back then. But anyway, this is my file cabinet. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because I was the worst manager of all time when it came to employees. My brother and I were both really good at running a business. I shouldn't say really good, but we knew how to take care of people. He was is an awesome mechanic. You give him anything and he can fix it. And I can be the guy that would help the customers. So if you wanted to put an LS swap into your Toyota or into your Volkswagen Bug, I can help you do that. And then my brother was the one who could do it and make it all happen. So between the two of us, we had a pretty cool magic combination. We kept doubling every year because of our ability to take care of people and help them to get their vehicles to the or off-road and go exploring and just go out and spend time with their families and friends. So we kept growing and growing and growing. And then we got pretty darn big, and come to find out that we had huge employee turnover. I mean, it was really bad. We were known for, if you didn't do it up to my standards, I didn't care. I would tell you to get out of the way, and I'd do it myself. And my brother was the same way. And we hired a coach with Elite, and that's one of the things my coach was working with me on. He's like, you guys are doing great with people. You're great with, you're doing all these things. He says, you're awesome at growing this business. You're doing these great things, but you're going to end up dying if you keep going the way you're going. And I was like, well, come on now. His name's Kevin. I was like, come on, Kevin. This is just who we are, man. It's like, I can sell better than anybody. I want to get on the counter. I want to do this. And he's like, yeah, but you don't understand that you're only going to grow so big. He's like, and you have to keep training people. And he's like, what happens if, you want to go and do things and actually get away for a little while? And at the time, I mean, my brother and I were so passionate about business. We just loved doing it. It was just what we did. 7 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. We just loved working on vehicles, but had some things happen in life that kind of shook me up a little bit. Almost missed my dad passing away. And those of you who've seen me present live have heard the story, and it was a wake up call to me. And Kevin told me, he's like, well, you ready to make some changes now? And I said, yes, I am. And so I really have found that the strength to growing any company, whether it be, an automotive repair shop or growing your church group, whatever it is, you got to take care of people. That my business growth in the last 5, 6 years, 7 years has been really crazy because of the fact that I've really got good people that have taken it much further than I ever thought I'd ever go. And it's really, it's humbling to see what can happen when you actually treat people with respect and do all the things you need to do. So when I'm telling you this stuff I'm sharing with you guys today, I need you to understand that I'm not coming to you from some place of pride. It's actually, I've been the worst of the worst. I've been that guy. This is once again my file cabinet of all of the people that worked for me. And I took a picture of this to show you guys that I was horrible. But with the help of Kevin, and I did lots of training. Oh my goodness, I went to so many events and I read so many books about how to take care of people and how to grow businesses. And I realized that, oh my goodness, I really have to change. I really have to do things better. So let me get started with what we're going to talk about today. But the first thing, if you want to keep your people, if you want to grow, the change that you want to see has to come from you. It has to come from you. Nobody else is going to change you. Nobody else is going to change your world. Doesn't matter, there's no magic that's going to come and save you. You have to take the steps to change it yourself. So if you are one of those shop owners like I was, where you didn't take good care of people and your employee turnover is really high, you've got to make that change. You got to make that decision that you're going to do things differently and really help to take care of people. Because once again, people are what will make you go further than you could ever imagine. It's good people. So we have to remember to lead by example. This is something that your people are always watching you. They're always watching you. And that's, they see the good and they see the bad. I love to tell the story that years ago, we did a lift kit on a customer's vehicle, and the tech didn't put the rear brake line on right, and it rubbed through the brake line, and the guy was miles away. And he called me just furious. And I was honestly afraid for my life. I really was, because the guy was in a biker club, and he was just one of those guys that I liked him, but he was kind of scary. But I went and I loaded up I had time at a 2016 4Runner, and I loaded up in that 4Runner, and I drove it all the way to Midland, Texas. And I dropped off my 4Runner with him and picked up his vehicle and drove it all the way home with no brake line. I pinched it with vice grips to drive it home. But my team saw that. And at the time, I didn't think about it. I was just setting an example. But it's something that they're always watching what you do. And so they still talk about the time that I went down there to risk my life to go return this guy to give him my vehicle. And they're always watching. So good and bad. There's been times where I've screwed up and did things the way I shouldn't have. And I didn't see my team copying that behavior. So you have to remember, if you want to grow a good team, if you want to have people respect you and respect each other, it's got to start with you. You got to think those things through and be the best you can be. So always remember that you're on stage, whether you're out on social media, doing stuff with your family or doing stuff with your buddies. Everybody's always watching you. So you got to make sure that, be that example, be that person that you want to be. So you have to remember to leave your bad days at home. I'm not telling you not be human, but I am telling you that my wife always calls me out on this stuff, because I think sometimes I get grouchy still, right? I still get frustrated because I want things to be done a certain way. But my wife, even my manager, a lot of times will call me out and be like, "Hey, you need to take the day off, get out of here for a little bit because you're a little grouchy." So you got to remember to leave your bad stuff at the door, because once again, these are your people, and if you go in and you tear them down, or you go in and you're not constructive with how you treat them, it can be really hard on your team and on morale. So I would highly encourage you to do the best you can to leave things at the door. Actually, I'm going to go back to that really quick. There's something that I do that a friend of mine taught me, and a lot of you have heard me talk about this before, but it's very important that you remember door frame triggers. What that means is when you walk through a door frame, you need to be that person that you need to be when you get into that room. So when I go into the shop, I normally go in one day a week and spend a couple hours with my guys. And when I walk through that door, you better believe that I'm going to be the best owner that I can be. And literally, when I walk through that door, I can feel that change happen. And I do it when I go into my office when I'm working, or if I'm going to go out and be a dad and go spend time with my kids, or going into church, whatever it may be. When I walk through that door, I'm going to be that person in that moment and be focused on it. So remember that when you go into your business, try actually making that effort to walk through that door and that door frame as you walk in there. Be that person that you want to be, because your team will follow you. So, okay, so moving on, we got to remember to know our people. I've had shop owners challenge me in the past, and I was one of those guys where, you're like, I don't have time to get to know my people, and they come to work for me, and it's like, not anymore. You really have to get to know your people. Once again, if you don't, somebody else will, and they may come to work for one of your competitors because of the fact that they actually cared about them as a person. So it's important to remember that what's in it for me. That's what WIIFM means. Every one of your employees, your kids, your parents, your spouse, everybody has that tattoo on their forehead, and you got to remember what's in it for me. Do you think they're just looking for a paycheck? They're not. A lot of them are, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of them want to actually have that friend. They want to have somebody that cares about them, that knows about what their goals and dreams are, what they enjoy doing on the weekends. So we got to remember that what's in it for me, that's on every one of your employees' foreheads. So please remember to get to know your people. Know their interest in their hobbies. In my world, we do a lot of four-wheeling. We do a lot of going out and doing fun things like that. And one of the things I enjoy doing is talking with people about their vehicles. One of my guys is actually building an AMC Eagle, and I ask him, after the weekend, what'd you do, Gianni? Tell me what you did. And he's going to tell me about doing the solid front end swap underneath this thing, or whatever it is he's currently working on. But those little connections, they mean a lot. When people leave, they leave people, they don't leave companies. And it's important that we make those little connections. So remember to look at their goals. What are they wanting out of life? And I'm not talking just about business goals. I'm talking about their personal goals. What do they want? A house? They're looking for a vehicle. What are they looking for? Because if you know those goals, it helps you out to talk with them through those things and figure out what they can do to get there and the other things. So remember that when you hire people and you've got people working for you, that you're not only hiring them, but you're hiring their spouse. So make sure you get to know the spouse's name. I know I'm asking for a lot here, but it's one of those things that, once again, your tech is sitting there beside you and he seems kind of bummed out, and you can talk to him and he's like, well, we're just having some issues, and you're able to talk through it and know the spouse's name, know a little bit about him. It helps you to be more real. It helps you understand them and help them. So remember, at the end of the day, like I said earlier, if you don't take care of your people, they're going to go somewhere else. So we got to do these little things. And if you can win over Mary, like I said, when you hire Larry, you get married. What that means is that if I was to hire a tech and his wife believes in me, and she loves me and she thinks I'm awesome, when he comes home some night and he's really frustrated and he says, you know what, I'm done with this place. I'm just so frustrated, and I had a horrible vehicle and we can't get parts on time, or all those things. And the spouse goes, yeah, but she's there helping pull in for you. So it's very important that we win over the spouse too, because once again, that's their other half. So we don't ever want to discount that. And of course, when we're talking about people, we want to make sure that we look for those signs. If you see somebody that's out of sad or out of sorts, you can tell that the heart's starting to be a little bit disconnected. I would highly encourage you to talk to them and just have that open conversation, and make sure you do everything you can to keep them, because once again, it's not the time to be replacing people. We really want to keep the people we have, as long as they're the good ones, but we want to do everything we can to keep them. So we got to look for those signs. Okay, so remember, like I said earlier, that people come to work for people and not companies. This is so true. I mentioned this earlier as well, that we want to make sure that we become the people that we want to attract and keep. So we want to be that high-level person that's pushing ourselves to be the best, and we'll find that we attract those people to us. I mentioned this earlier as well, talking about Facebook and social media, that the stuff you post about your business and yourself, you're ignorant if you think that they don't look at that. Because I can tell you that I look at employees. If somebody I'm looking at hiring, or somebody that I'm looking at working with a shop, you better believe I go and I check them out. I want to know what kind of person I'm going to be involved with. And they do that for you too. They're going to look at you and see what kind of person you are. So know your people. Once again, talked about this earlier, goals. Wow, double signed that. So sorry about that. So culture is huge. When I'm talking about your culture, I had a picture in here and I took it out because I was so worried about time. I only got 50 minutes with you guys, and I was trying to figure out the best stuff to go over. But there's a picture of my grandfather, and he was a rancher. And sorry, I get kind of emotional telling this story, but he was a sheep herder in Meeker, and he had a couple 1,000-acre ranch. And these sheep, literally, he'd play his guitar, and these sheep would come and hang out around his sheep herder's tent. and he would play guitar for him, and these sheep would know the sound of that guitar, and he knew him personally. And people would always talk about how he was really close and connected with his flock. And so as I've gotten older and got wiser, I realized that it's really our job and our responsibility to watch over our flock. So we've got to do that. We got to make sure that we're taking care of those of our sheep, if you will, just like my grandfather did. One you see starting to go astray, you go out and you take care of them, and you help and nurture them and take care of them. So that's what we're going to talk about now. Make sure that we catch them doing things right. Okay. Nobody likes a manager that, only catches them when they're doing things wrong. They want to know when they're doing things right. And so what that means is that if you see somebody doing something and you like the way they dealt with the customer, or they got that vehicle really completed quickly, it's so easy to just go out and talk to them really quickly and just be like, hey, I really appreciate the way you handled that upset customer. Really proud of you. You did a great job on that. You have to do it right away. You got to do it and not let it get by. But it's just like a puppy that, you're potty training. And if you're sitting there watching the Super Bowl or some game on TV, and that dog ends up making a surprise over there on the carpet, and you let it set till the end of the game, and you tell yourself, you know what, I'll take care of that as soon as the game's over. So you go over and you discipline the dog, whether you swat him on the rear or whatever you do. And the dog looks at you like, what the heck was that about? They don't know, they don't make that connection. But if you do it right away, so you watch the dog make a surprise and you're trying to potty train him, so you go over and you take him out and you do the things and you explain to him what needs to happen, you do the stuff of doing that. The dog associates that behavior with needing to go outside to go to the bathroom, right? So it's the same way with our people. Once again, catch them doing it, do it right away. Let them know that they did something good. Don't let it set. Don't wait until the next day, the next morning, whatever. Go talk to them and let them know right away that they did something right. So very important. This is another one that comes from my friend Joe Marconi. Love this. Don't be a sniper manager. Sniper managers are horrible. That's the guy that sits in his office and he just looks at numbers. And I've been this guy. You just look at numbers and it's like, why is it down? And so instead of going out with the right intent and trying to help the guy through, you go out and attack him. You shoot him from a distance. You take him down. That's not how we do things. Moving forward with you and your business, you got to think differently. We can't be that sniper manager. You need to be able to go out and actually water the flowers, as they say. Give them a little bit of love and nurturing, because to just go out when you're mad or when things need to be addressed, your people are made afraid of you, and they're not going to want to work with you, and it's not going to be a good work environment. So please remember that to once again, catch them doing things right, reward them, tell them they did great, and then don't be a sniper manager. Another thing for taking care of your flock. This is another thing that I'm really big at. I mentioned going four-wheeling earlier, but oh my goodness, we've got one coming up in a couple of weeks. We're all going to go down to Moab together. We're going to close the shop down. We're going to go down to Easter Jeep Safari and spend time at the vendor show. And we're going to go do wheeling. And the guys talk about it all year. They do. They really look forward to going out and playing. In fact, one of my guys is even taking his Ford Super Duty, and it's got a big lift on it and tires. And we chose a trail to make sure that it wasn't going to be pushing that truck a little bit further than it should be, because the rest of us have built vehicles. So there's things that you can do in your shop. I don't know what your passions are, what your people enjoy. In my world, this is what we do. We lift them and we have fun modifying. We feed the male ego. So my guys, the people that work with me, love this stuff. We do a lot of four-wheeling trips. I mean, Easter Jeeps is a big one, but we go down to Sand Hollow. We go down and we'll just go on a Saturday. We do a lot of four-wheeling together as a group, because people come to work for people. Once again, if they're thinking about leaving and they got a better job offer and the guy's going to pay them a whole lot more, they're leaving their family. The people they actually enjoy spending time with outside of work. And I know I hear this a lot, that I don't have time to invest into my people. And it's like, okay, well, keep in mind that that's why you keep having to hire people. And that's why you're not growing like you should, because you haven't kept the really good people and continue to nurture them. So something that I'm really proud of, a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, we always got involved in the Christmas parade. And it's something that my guys just love doing. In fact, one of my guys it's his thing. Every year he talks about it. When are we going to find out what the theme is? And he always builds, these ideas in his head about the floats and what we're going to do. And it's a big company building thing. And it's been really cool, because 2 years ago, I was busy with a bunch of presenting stuff, and I was teaching a sales class, and I had all this stuff going on, and I wasn't able to be there. And I was concerned about it because, I told them, guys, I'm like, man, I apologize. It happened to fall on the weekend, the month before, and I had all this stuff going on. And it was awesome, because the guys actually went and built the float on their own. And I cut out the pictures. I'm really frustrated I did, because I'm so proud of them, because there's pictures of them building the float, working on it, and I'm not there. And I'm the owner of the company, and they're doing this stuff without me because they love it so much. And they're taking pictures and they're sending it to me and they're telling me they wish I was there. And, and it was awesome because I flew in that day and I landed about noon or 1, and we had to be in the lineup at 4 p.m. and our float was there. And I was just blown away. I seriously was in tears because it was like, oh my goodness, man, you guys are awesome. They did all this work and they got it all ready. And, things come back full circle to you sometimes. And that was one of those moments in life where I was like, thank you guys, because I know it's silly, but it's not, because it was something that started that was important to me and the team took it and ran with it. And to watch them do that was really cool. So look for things in your business, man. If you guys like barbecuing, I had one of my clients years ago that would always barbecue on Friday with his guys, and they made this cooker and it was like this big ceremonial thing, but his team loved it. And they always look forward to coming in and doing this barbecue on Friday. They used to have employees that retired even come in and it was just a Friday thing. I mean, do stuff that makes it important so that when they leave, if they decide they're thinking about leaving, they know what they're leaving. You can't win them all. I've had lots of guys still leave me in the last few years, but it's one of those things that I'm still friends with all of them. I'm still friends and they still text me and reach out to me and we're still connected. And I love that. And that's what this is all about, is building those relationships. So celebrate birthdays and work anniversaries, another huge thing. It's seriously a really big thing. Okay, so weekly meetings. This is another thing to help build your morale. And I'm going to go over this really quickly because I got so much stuff to cover and I've only got a little bit of time with you guys. So remember that it's a dialogue and not a monologue. So what that means when you have a meeting, go in and have those open things happening. Talk openly with your guys about, what their concerns are and, what you can do to fix those things. But it's important you have that open communication, really important. Set clear expectations. What that means is that I always like to tell my guys that I don't want you to come to a meeting with a problem. I want you to come to me with what you've thought about what the solution is going to be, because that way they're invested in that solution and they're not expecting you to solve everything, because we all know that people believe in what they help create, and it's very true. So if they come to you with an idea of like, hey, our shop productivity is really slow or really low right now, I'm not sure what to do about it, if they've thought about it and they come to you with ideas, you may not use any of the ideas. The thing is, though, is at least they put the effort in, and it's going to help to get everybody talking about how to fix that problem. Because once again, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you need to find a bigger room, right? And all these guys that work for you are all smart and very intelligent and blessed in certain ways. And when you get your team involved with solving problems and working through things, you'll be surprised at what happens. Of course, you're still the owner. You still got the veto power. Something comes up and you're going down a direction that you're not happy about and it doesn't fit with your core values or your ethics. Of course, you can go in and change that. But I've found that it doesn't really normally happen that way. I love it when my team gets involved in the solutions, because they know what they're doing and they believe in what they're going. So always have an agenda. Don't just go into this blind. Make sure you have an agenda and that you follow it. Watch your time, make sure you're good. And then of course, have someone take notes. It's very important that you show your guys you're going to take this serious. What I don't do this anymore. My manager does now, but what I used to do is I would actually take notes and I would email everybody after the meeting. And I would say, this is the things that you guys brought up. This is our moving forward. This is what we're going to do. And it's very important that we do that too. So, okay. Number tracking is really big too. If you want to keep people, you need to know exactly what their numbers are and give them daily accountability. This is huge also if you're not on site. Like I'm not on site hardly at all. The number tracking is very important because it helps them to know what's daily expected of them, and weekly and monthly and so on. And it also allows you to monitor things from a distance and be able to talk to them and be like, talk to your manager or just come in and be like, hey, I just noticed that, things have been a little bit lower for your productivity lately. And I just wanted to see, is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help? Just be able to have those things, but without having those metrics, it's hard to help them to improve, so make sure that you track your numbers. Look for trends. That's what I just mentioned, where things go down and things go up, and you see somebody that's really producing. Just like last week, I had one of my guys that is a newer employee with me, and he sold over 70 hours, and we're really proud because he's a newer service advisor, and it's like I was so happy for him. And I called him in the office on Monday, and I was like, hey man, I just want to let you know you did whatever it was, 73, 75 hours, whatever it was. Like, man, great job, man. I'm so proud of you. And he's like, thank you. But it shows them, even though I'm not there, I'm still paying attention to it, and I'm still celebrating the wins. Of course, my manager had already celebrated it with him too, but it means a lot when it comes from the owner. I mean, especially when I like the guy, he's a great, awesome, good catch that we have. So anyway, remember that emotional versus logical. what that means is that if they come in and they're emotional, and you're talking about numbers, and it's like, oh my goodness, it's been such a slow week. Oh my goodness, I just don't know if I can do this. And they're emotional. You get into the logic side of things. It's like, well, remember that this is this time of year. If we look at your numbers, this is normal for this time of year. It's for it to be a little bit lower. So there's a lot of reasons why we do number tracking. Sorry, guys, I know I'm going over a lot for you really quick. I had so much I wanted to cover for you guys. So daily huddles, this is huge. This is something that was taught to me back in 2016. And the guy that did it owns Woody Woodfire Pizza, and his name is Bart Bortles, and he's a great friend of mine, an awesome guy. And he told me to start doing huddles. And oh my goodness, it was a big game changer for me. When you do daily huddles, they're like a 10-minute meeting in the morning. We do it every morning at my shop, every morning from 7:50 to 8 o'clock. The whole staff is there. Everybody that's working will be there for this huddle. If you don't take anything else away from this besides taking care of people, is I would encourage you to do daily huddles. They're so important. And they're not a long, drawn out meeting about all the stuff that needs to be done. All you're doing is going to go over the day. If you talk about each one of your technicians, talk about the things that are going to be done, what needs to be done, previous pending vehicles. You talk about good Google reviews, talk about a customer that may not be happy and they're bringing their vehicle in. You can talk about that too, but it just gets everybody all together. And I make sure that when we run these, that we keep things light. And it's so important that we keep them happy. So what that means is, once again, we're not going to talk about negative Google reviews. We're not going to talk about anything bad that happens. This is just a positive, upbeat tone setting for the day. When my manager first started running these huddles after I did, and I was gone for a week and I came back and I was amazed that the tone had changed and that everybody was a lot more grouchy. And so I talked with them and I just explained to him, I'm like, the reason why we do this, bud, is to get this up, and make it happier. And ever since then, he's been great, because sometimes you just have to point it out, we need to start the day on a positive note. And it's amazing how it does. It sets the tone. So it allows you to give a quick education once again about customers, go over the schedule, customer concerns, celebrate wins. It's huge here. Something that my manager is doing now is he actually talks during that 10 minutes. He also talks about the amount of billable hours we did the day before, which I think is really cool, because we have goals for the shop and he knows where he wants to go. And so now he every day he's talking about, hey guys, did this many numbers yesterday. That's great. Or we were a little bit low yesterday, but we know the reason was this. And, but however, this was awesome. And it's like very important to do huddles. I can't speak highly enough of them because they do make a difference. So, I put up, anyway, this was Bart Bortles' business. It started out at Boulder, and just, he's an awesome guy. But anyway, he's the one who told me about huddles, and yeah, they do make a difference. Okay, so discipline. Make sure that you address it right away. I'm changing gears here. Once again, the old Darrin would be, as I told you guys, it's my way or the highway, and you can't do that with this day and age. These are people, and we just can't do that. So remember to go into this with the right intent, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but remember, once again, people leave people. So if you're a jerk, and you go in with the wrong intent when you go in and you're talking to them and that wrong thought process, you're going to push them away. And you don't want that. These are human beings, and they make mistakes, and they're going to grow and improve. If you got the right people on the bus, then they're going to do things right. So remember to address it right away. And what that means is, just like I talked about the praise, if you have a service advisor that didn't handle a customer well and you overheard it, I would encourage you to not let it set till the end of the day, because what happens is that next person, that service advisor, answers the phone and he just hung up from the really upset customer. That tonality and everything about that service advisor carries over to that phone. And you may have a highly anxiety customer on the other end of the line, and they're broke down on the side of the road, and they call and they get this guy that just got his head bit off from some crazy nut customer. That poor person really feels like, oh my goodness, did I call the right shop? You got a whole battle ahead of you after that. You really do, because they're not sure if they chose the right people. So please remember to address that behavior right away. You got a guy that's constantly showing up. Don't wait till the end of the day. You call him in right then and there and set him down and have a conversation with him. So remember to address things right away. Know the time. This took a long time for me. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but I was, once again, so blunt in how I did things. And my wife still has to remind me sometimes to calm down. But it's one of those things that, we got to know the time. So personally for me, if I saw something and I saw one of my customers not treating well, I literally, sometimes I still do this. I'll go in my office and I'll sit for 5 minutes or so to make sure that I'm right in the right headspace, because I love my customers. They're the reason why I'm open. They're the reason why I'm here talking to you guys today. It's something that I'm really passionate about, is taking care of people. And I have to go and sit down and calm down for a minute or two, 5 minutes, before I would call that advisor in or that technician in, because I don't want to say something I would regret. and I don't want to do the wrong thing. So make sure that you know yourself, but just don't let it set too long. I have people that love to kick things down the road and not deal with things as they come up. And I'd highly encourage you to just take care of it right away. So remember to praise in public and condemn in private. This is another huge thing. Service advisor does a great job with the customer. Make sure you tell them in front of the other people because they hear that. And there's a huge thing that Bob Cooper used to always say, and I believe it, that people, the behavior you get is the behavior that you reward. And it's so true. So when you talk good to your people in front of your employees and even your customers, they love to hear that, and it makes them feel good, and they want to do that too. But when it comes to doing something bad, you pull them in the other room. You go for a drive, you put them somewhere. You don't do it in front of your employees. You just don't do that. I heard a guy recently tell me it's called dressing them down, and I agree 100%. You do not want to do that in front of your other employees. So make sure that you do it in the right place. Don't wait too long. I just mentioned this. I have one of my clients I should say, she's a great shop owner, but she likes to wait until things later on, Friday afternoon. She's like, well, I'll just wait till Monday to deal with this. And we can't do that. You need to deal with it right away. So listen. This is another huge thing. When you have that advisor sitting in front of you and they just made a bad call with a customer, make sure that you listen. Okay. This 10 seconds is huge. And 10 seconds is a little long. And I admit that you can't do this on the phone, but you can do it when you're in person. You have somebody that's really emotional and upset. Let them finish their last phrase and actually count to 10 in your head. So there's 10. I know that was an eternity, but you'll be amazed at what happens. That upset person is going to continue they'll think and they're going to say out the rest of the things they need to say to get everything out so that they're really able to talk with you. On the phone, you can't wait that long, obviously, but when it comes to in person, you'll be surprised it even works with your kids. I mean, your spouse, whatever, if you actually let them finish talking about what they need to talk about, you'll get so much more out of it. So, and then always remember that to separate the person from the behavior. What that means is, I talked earlier about the intent thing and what's your intent with this employee. Remember that, I love to set high standards for people. And so what that means is that, hey, I overheard that conversation and, you talk with them through it. And it's like, I was kind of shocked to hear you talk like that because you're so much better than that, and I know that you can do better than that. So I'm just kind of curious to hear, what your thoughts are, what you think we can do to make this better. Remember that we're not talking about why did you do this? You can't believe you would say that. It's more like, hey, I was kind of shocked in how this happened, because I know you're better than this. I mean, and I understand that it's a thin line between manipulation, but we're not manipulating. All we're saying is we're getting high standards to live up to. And once again, I have rock stars that work for me, and there's a reason why they work for me. And so I can say that because I know they're good people. So we got to remember to separate the person from the behavior. Watch the emotional bank account. What that means is everybody, one of us has an emotional bank account. And if you're employees, if you're always taking from that bank account, you're going to overdraft it. So if the only time you ever talk to them is when they're doing things wrong, it's only a matter of time before they leave because they're human beings. They only got so much in there. So you got to make sure that you give them some positive. Okay. Make sure you give them some love. Make sure you build them up. Let them know they're doing good. Okay. You have to make a deposit before you make a withdrawal. It's so true. Okay. So give them a high standard to live up to. Pay attention to your intent. I mentioned this earlier, and this is huge. If you know somebody really screwed up for you that works for you, know what you're going to do. Do you want to keep them or you don't want to let them go? You need to know that before you have a big, heavy conversation. I'm not talking about little things. I'm talking about something that's major. You need to know what the major outcome is, because when tempers flare up and people get upset, a lot of times we say things we don't mean. And so make sure you know what that intent is. Okay. All right. Remember, how do I want this to end? You need to ask yourself that question before you sit down with one of your people and having a discipline a discussion. So, and then as I've mentioned numerous times, remember that we're dealing with human beings. Okay. This is huge because they're people. They go through peaks and valleys. I don't care who it is. You can be the best performer in the world. You could be the most high performance person. And I've met a lot of them, but you know what? Even they have bad days, even they struggle. I don't care. Anybody who tells you they don't struggle is a liar, because the good Lord bless us all with those things. We all struggle. And so remember that you may be going through a rough spot with one of your people. And as long as it's not ethics stuff that they're messing with, and it's just, performance may not be where it needs to be, or maybe they've been a little bit more grouchy, just remember that you don't know where they're at. Something that I learned in India when I went there with my family a few years ago, and anytime you bumped into somebody and they do this whole thing where they put this together and they say namaste, and it was like, I asked my guide, I'm like, what is it? What is namaste? And he's like, it means I honor you, my soul honors your soul on its journey. And we got to remember that we never know where other people are at, ever. We never know where they're at. So we got to do our best to remember their people, good and bad. So even though they're going through a rough spell, next week could be a whole different day and they could be back into performing and being better than they ever were before. And when you're down, when you're there for them when they're down, you got a loyal friend and a loyal employee for a long time because they know that you care about them. And you didn't just kick them to the curb when things were rough. You actually helped them through it. So, okay. All right. Sorry, Amber. I'm trying to make sure I'm good here. So
you're
all
doing
right, so remember,
so good. You have plenty of time. No worries.
Okay, awesome. Cool.
Good.
Thanks, Amber. She's a rock star. I love her. She's so awesome. Thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
So remember, when you get off this webinar and you go through the rest of the trainings, you're going to get awesome teachers, lots of good stuff out there. Please remember, though, that how are you showing up each day? What is your intent? How are you showing up? Are you showing up focused and ready to be the best owner and manager you can be for your people? Or are you just showing up and just wanting to collect them, to have them produce for you? Because if that's all you're wanting, they're going to go somewhere else. And you know what? They probably should, because they need to go a place where they're appreciated and where they can grow. I hate this turn and burn stuff that I hear other people talking about. It really bothers me. Oh, just get another tech in, it'll produce and replace them. Yeah, it doesn't work the best. You really need to work on trying to get good people and keep them with you, because they're people and it comes back to you. So remember your culture, you got to take care of your team. And then of course, your team needs to know what's expected of them. And I lightly touched on this with the numbers, but it's so important that they know each day what they need to do. What's expected of them? We call it MLAP. It's minimum levels of acceptable performance. What is the minimum level for that position? They need to know. If they don't know, then you're doing them a disservice. And superstars don't want to work where they don't know what's expected of them. All the good techs want to know what they need to produce each day. They do. And if you don't know that, they're not going to come work for you. So make sure you figure those things out too. And then of course, you got to ask the question about if we have the right people on the bus. I've talked about the good keepers and the good superstars, but sometimes you get to the point where you don't know if this is the right person on the bus. If they're not, then you got to let them go. We have the 4 T's of leadership, we call it. You know, I mean, you know somebody isn't working or things aren't working well. So the first option is train. You train them to get them better, help them to improve. You transfer them to a new position. Something else that's going to be done. I've done it numerous times where somebody wasn't a good fit, but I really liked the person. So I invented another position for them and kept them on board, and they really excelled in that other one. So you got train, transfer, and then the next one is terminate. That means you let them go. Now, the most painful one, and this is the one where a lot of shop owners will get stuck at, is staying in the tolerate. And tolerate is where you don't want to be. If you don't like the person, they're not performing, and all the other pieces aren't there, you owe it to them to get them onto somebody else's bus. So make that choice and make it happen. So once again, train, transfer, terminate, or tolerate. And so don't stick and tolerate, okay? Sit down, have those meetings with them, see if they're the right people, and if they're not, then terminate, So anyway, let's see here. Yeah, so take care of discipline as it comes. So really quickly, Elite Worldwide, this is what we do. We do coaching. We have an awesome peer group that is full of superstar owners, really cool group of people. So if you're wanting to grow your business and take it to the next level, we can help you with pro service. We can help you with coaching. We do sales training. I love the master's program. It's the 6-month service advisor course. It's awesome. It changes people's lives, and I love teaching it and being a part of it. So yeah, we do service advisor training. We do Sales Master University, which is an online training module. And then we have an awesome thing coming up called Play with the Eagles, and it's a business management course. And when I went there in 2017, it was a life changer for me. It seriously was like one of the best things that I ever did, was attend that course. Joe Marconi and Kevin Vaught teach it. I'd say that they're 2 of my best friends. I just love these guys, and they are very passionate about this course. So yeah, we got that coming up in June. We do it 3 times a year. So yeah, and do other things too. But we have a special offer for anybody that's attending. If you want to come to Fly with the Eagles, so this is in Colorado in June. You get $400 off the price of admission. It's really an awesome 3-day event. We go over business management. We go over employee stuff, a lot of employee hiring and retention, a lot of time spent on retention, because that's where it's at now, guys. This is where it is, retention. And we do marketing. I mean, goodness, yeah, we've got so much stuff in this course. It's 3 days and long days, but they're awesome. We do networking dinners at night, a bunch of fun things. So love to have you guys join us there. I'll be there too. I'm actually going to be helping out, teaching some of the stuff. So excited to do that with my friends, Joe and Kevin, and hope to see you there at that. So if you guys decide anybody's interested in joining, I'd love to have you come join. Just go to the event page on Elite Worldwide, and then just use the discount code AMPLIFY. That's from our good friends here at AutoLeap. So we're going to give you guys $400 off. So, and yeah, is our contact information. Again, this is the phone number for Elite and then my email address. And if you want to sign up for our complimentary tips, just send me an email and we'll get you added to the list. But thank you very much for joining me today. I really hope to see you out on the circuit. When I'm out presenting and things, please come up and say hi or send me an email or reach out to me. So Amber, ma'am, thank you.
Darrin, no, thank you. I really appreciate it. And I said it earlier in the chat, I've heard you speak this before, but you've become such a good friend of mine and you've taught me so many things. I think we align on a lot of it, but the door frame thing, not only in business, but in life, I now do that, right? When I walk from my office to my kitchen, right? I don't have very far to go, but it is very, it's a conscious, you're consciously showing up for the people you have in your life, no matter what you have going on, right? Just like you said, you don't know what others are going on. So you have to consciously show up for them.
You have to.
In whatever capacity that may be. So I really appreciate you as always. You nailed the time. So you were worried about the time. You nailed it. And there's a lot of good stuff. Does anyone have questions for Darrin? I will say, so I think it's Chris from Werner's. I don't know if it's him or his wife on, but some great stuff here. Our workplace culture is so important. It's great to have more ideas and perspectives on how to make the workplace atmosphere. So I love that. Great to see you, Darrin, and your success with Elite.
Julie's wonderful. She's an awesome lady. She was ASA. So hi, Julie. Appreciate you saying that. I'm excited to see what you're going to do too. So Julie and I have been friends for years. She's a wonderful lady. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, if you guys have any other questions, you have Darrin's information. If you forgot to ask him a question and you think about it over the weekend, we will be sharing your questions with Darrin, so please reach out to me or please just reach out to him directly at his email. Darrin, as always, we're very grateful for you and your partnership. And guys, we are about to head over to our entertainment break that I get to host a trivia game. So we're going to lighten the mood a little bit and play some trivia. Thank God I'm not playing it on the other side because I suck at it. So don't ask me the answers because I do have them. So Darrin, have a great day. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Amber, thank you. And guys, go check out AutoLeap. They have an awesome software. They're getting it dialed in. They're continuing to improve. And it's really a great program. So take a look at it because these guys know what they're doing and it's really growing and being awesome. So thank you again, Amber, for letting me be here. And thanks for being here.
Thanks for saying that. Bye, guys.
Yeah.